Okay, so you've been doing everything right, but why the heck isn't your money growing? If this is a question you've been asking yourself, you are in the right place. Let's say you've been showing up consistently, you've been serving your clients, you've been selling, you've been posting online, and yet your income seems to have hit a ceiling. If you're someone who tends to wonder, what else do I have to do? What more can I do? Am I doing enough? This episode is for you. Today, we're going to unpack one of the biggest myths in entrepreneurship, and that is that working harder is the solution to growing your business. We're going to talk about what actually creates consistent income and why your income plateau is not a strategy or hard work problem. It's going to be more about making an internal shift that can unlock more money without adding more to your plate. Now, I definitely know what it feels like to think if I just hustle a little harder, if I push a little more, if I get more done, then I'll hit that next level. But what I have learned on a personal level and from coaching hundreds of entrepreneurs is that more hustle only leads to burnout, and it really doesn't move the needle forward. The truth is that there is a completely different way to grow, and it starts with aligning your energy and identity to the next level that you are calling in. So by the end of this episode, you'll see why hustling harder is actually keeping you stuck, and you'll know the first steps to create consistent income from a place of sufficiency, ease, and trust. So let's dive into the episode, why working harder isn't the answer. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to unpack that big misconception that if I just worked harder, then I would be successful. It is 100% not true. And it's so important that we debunk these outdated beliefs or these beliefs that we grew up learning that are no longer serving us. You may have been trying this route and trying to hustle and trying to work harder and trying to add just one more thing to your plate, but you're probably seeing it's not getting me anywhere. It is not moving the needle. And here is why. It's simply because it's not true. It's a thought that many people were taught, including myself, but it is not true in terms of creating true wealth. It's not true in terms of creating a sustainable and scalable business. Now, hustling can get you so far, right? You can hustle your way to your first 100K, maybe even 200K. But I remember one of my coaches who I got trained with at the life coach school, Brooke Castillo, saying, you can't hustle your way to $1 million. And I have personally found that to be true because, my friends, I have tried it. So I'm here to tell you it is not true and there is another way. So that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. So let's debunk this myth. Let me prove to you how it is not true that working hard creates success and results. Okay. I did a little bit of data collection and I looked into some stats. And so I was looking online and I'm like, okay, let's look at what are the top 3 lowest paying jobs in the United States in the past 10 years. And just to contrast, let's look at what the top 3 highest paying jobs or things are to create wealth in the United States in the past 10 years. Now, I know we have people listening in all countries, but I just went with the United States because worldwide, the data collection is just all over the place. So here's the top 3 lowest paying jobs in the United States. Number 1, fast food and counter workers. Number 2, laundry and dry cleaning workers. Number 3, housekeepers and janitors. Now, let me ask you, what do all 3 of those jobs have in common other than they are the most lowing paid jobs? What they have in common is that you have to work really hard at those jobs. It's inevitable. You have got to put some elbow grease in. You're standing on your feet all day, right? It's something that you are probably sweating. You are probably, at the end of the day, leaving extremely exhausted and tired, and you had to work really, really hard. Now, these people are working hard. I know that firsthand because I have done these jobs. In fact, I worked in all three of these jobs, funny enough, because growing up, I did love to work and I was young. And so I have worked in fast food. I have been a counter worker. I have done laundry at a hotel, but I have to say I only did that for one day because it was such hard work. I was exhausted. In fact, I just visited my grandma and she was making fun of me. She said, "Remember when you worked at that job for one day at that hotel?" It's like, yeah, that was hard. That was not for me. I learned that is not for me. And I also did housekeeping at that hotel for one day. And it is hard work. Oh my gosh. So I can firsthand say I have done all of these jobs. I've had so many jobs in my teens and 20s. I used to work 3 jobs at a time because I really did used to think if I want to make money, I just have to work more. And I was someone who was willing to grind to make money, but yet I was always living paycheck to paycheck, never making any overflow or anything like that. And I always worked really hard. So right there, it just goes to show you that it is not hard work. And it's not just doing one more thing. And it's not about just hustling harder that's actually going to help you scale and grow and step into wealth. And then let's contrast that and let's look at the top 3 highest paying jobs and things that create wealth in the past 10 years in the US. Number 1, becoming a tech founder. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't have to put some work in, right? I am sure that they put some hours in and they put some work in. But the thing is that isn't what is actually making that company so valuable. It is the level of their thinking, the expansive energy of being willing to go first, of being willing to solve big problems and think on a higher level. Then again, because if you think about it, even if these people are working long hours, you can't work so many hours that you just become a billionaire, right? No, these companies are making that much money and these founders are making that money because they're creating something that is super high value to people. So it's not about the long hours. It's not about the hustle that's creating the wealth there. It's about solving a big problem. Number 2 on that list was finance, banking, and investments. And it says a large share of US billionaire wealth is built in finance between hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, investment banking, the ability to leverage capital, manage assets, and profit from big market moves has created huge wealth. And also investing in stocks has created massive wealth. Now, this one's super interesting because it literally has nothing to do with hard work. It has to do with putting your money and allocating it and multiplying it and putting it in different places and allowing that money to be multiplied. There's no hard work involved in that other than the research of it, the learning, taking some risks, but it's not like it takes long hours to build wealth through investments. And that's how the most wealth in the US has been created. The third one was through real estate and equity ownership. And again, that's not something you hustle for. That's something you invest in. You allocate your money. And many people who started from nothing started allocating little bits into investments, whether it be real estate or into financial investments, banking, stocks. You can start small and just compound it. That is not hard work that's creating that level of wealth. So if you think about it, it's interesting that we've all, not all, but many of us have been taught that if you just work really, really hard and put your hours in, that's what's going to make you money. Because when you look at actually what creates the highest level of wealth, it's the opposite. It's about thinking on a higher level. It's about learning. It's about your mindset. We're going to dive into all of the different things that actually creates wealth, because I want to talk about how you can apply the principles of wealth creation and what it actually takes to break through your income ceiling and really create a scalable and sustainable business without grinding, without hustling, because that's only got you so far, my friend. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. And let's talk about why hustling doesn't work. So one of my core principles and foundations that I lean on is that money is created by who you are being, not by how much you are doing. A lot of people do a lot of things and they don't create money. They don't create wealth. Their business doesn't take off. So let's talk about what does work. What does it mean by who you're being? What is it that actually does work if it's not hard work? Let's open your mind to there is another way, and you can do it while breathing, while enjoying your life, while living into your values as well. It's not a race. You don't have to be on a hamster wheel, burning yourself out year after year without making progress. Let's do what it takes to actually make some progress. And these are some of the things that I not only teach inside of the money manifestation movement and inside of all of the work that I do, but what I really love to help people do is not just learn it, but to actually embody these teachings and these principles so that they can break through and that they can create the abundance and the wealth and the business that they really want to and that their soul feels called to, what they know is meant for them. And the number one thing is gonna be around belief work. So here's the thing. I like to think of it like this. In fact, I taught this at a recent workshop, that if you think about your ability to create kind of like a iceberg. Think of yourself as an iceberg. The action piece is what's above the water. I don't know if you've ever seen an image of an iceberg, but I highly recommend you look at it because I think this makes so much sense. The action piece and the strategy and the what you're doing is like what's above the water, which funny enough, when you look at an iceberg, that looks big. If you're looking at it from a boat, that looks like the main piece. But if you step back and see the full perspective and full image of that iceberg, the top of it is probably only 10% of what that iceberg is made up of. Most of an iceberg is all what's underwater. It's that huge sheet of ice underwater. Now, I like to think of it like this. Action and strategy and all of that is what's above water. What's underwater, what's actually at the root of it, what really matters in terms of creation is going to be your subconscious beliefs, what you were taught growing up, what you're still holding on to. It's who you think you are, how you identify yourself. Do you identify yourself as someone who struggles? Do you identify your field as something that's really hard to make money in? All of these beliefs matter so much. And that's all what's underneath. That's actually at the core of your creation. So if you want to create more and actually move the needle, what you want to do is you want to focus on that bottom part of the iceberg, which the majority is made up of, which is going to be how you see yourself, what you believe about money, what your relationship with money is, what you were taught about money. We kind of got to dissect that and say, hey, what are you still hanging on to? Even though your conscious mind doesn't believe it or thinks, gosh, that's crazy. On a subconscious level, you're still holding on to it. And it might be something like it takes hard work to make money, or I don't deserve to make money doing something I love, or if it's easy, I should just give it away for free. Or it's not nice of me to charge for my services. I'm an unkind person. I'll come across as greedy. All of these kind of thoughts impact your business in such a massive way. And the problem is when we don't address them, they're still there underneath that iceberg. That's why the iceberg can't move. That's why it's not breaking free. It's because you're holding on to this, but trying to create momentum by taking action, but your subconscious mind is what's holding you back. So if you want to create wealth, you have to do some work on your thoughts about money, your thoughts about yourself, how you see yourself, or we call it your self-concept or your identity. It makes all the difference. And I will tell you, my friend, I tried to outrun my limiting beliefs for many years. I tried to hustle my way out of my limiting beliefs. I didn't want to look at my thoughts about money, or I wasn't even aware that I needed to. So instead, I tried to run and, like I said, work 3 jobs at a time, work all the time, trying to create wealth, but it didn't work. And especially whenever I started business, it was like I brought that same hustle mindset into starting a business, and it just didn't work. It wasn't working at all. My first 2 years of business, I barely made any money. And then my 3rd year of business, I hustled my way to 100K, but I was exhausted and burnt out, and I couldn't sustain it. So that's when I knew I had to look at another way, and I had to start shifting on a subconscious level. And so this work is so important if you want to manifest a new reality, if you want to break through that income ceiling. Now, the second one, this one's really big, is emotional regulation, is learning how to regulate your emotions around your business and around money. Now, many people don't even realize this is an issue, and I'm going to tell you how this might show up. It might show up like avoiding your money. Because when you look at your bank account or look at what you've made for the year or look at your numbers, you automatically feel triggered. You feel a tightness in your chest. You feel activated. You don't like that feeling. So instead of feeling it and learning how to regulate that emotion, instead you run away from numbers. You tell yourself, I'm bad at math. You just avoid that area of your business. And I will tell you what, if you avoid numbers and if you avoid looking at them, that is going to get in the way of creating true wealth, in the way of scaling your business, because numbers and data tell you so much, and it can actually be a really fun thing. It can be a game. Once you start looking at numbers, oh my gosh, that's where the magic can happen. But you have to learn how to emotionally regulate yourself and manage your mindset around them first, so that you can have those consistent weekly money dates feeling untriggered, feeling totally fine, looking at it as just math and making decisions as if it's just math. That's how you can actually make more powerful decisions in your business, and then start getting into investment and learning about multiplying your money and doing that and having fun, really creating true wealth. But you have to learn emotional regulation. You cannot be consistently triggered by money, or it's just going to keep getting in the way. Again, it's like that bottom of the iceberg. It's not going to move if you don't move that and learn how to do that around money. It's so important. And I'll tell you what, if you don't know how, like, welcome to the human experience. We were not taught these things in school. I had no idea how to either. This is something that I had to learn. I had to work. I had to get a coach. I had to invest in myself around this and really learn this skill, but it changed my life. And what's so fun about it too is that once you start learning this skill and get intimate with money, you're going to start loving your weekly money dates. You are going to actually enjoy learning more about wealth creation. It's going to be kind of a game. Like, I have seen my clients learn this skill, start implementing these things, and have created massive, massive wealth ever since then. I'm talking like millions of dollars by learning emotional regulation around money and applying that belief work together. It's magic. Now, the third one is going to be taking aligned and courageous action. And I say that as the third one because it is important to take action. We're not going to just sit on the couch and manifest wealth. I mean, you can do that once you're invested in all of that, but first you got to get yourself multiplying money and actually learn to invest your money, learn to invest in yourself. So you do have to take action. But I put this third because it's about the type of action. It's about the quality of the action and the energy it's riding on. So you don't want to just act out of scarcity. You don't want to say, oh my gosh, out of fear, I'm afraid that if I don't work really, 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 really hard, I won't be successful. And you don't just make decisions out of fear or scarcity. You come to a place once you've emotionally regulated yourself where you feel wholeness, you feel sufficiency. And once you're emotionally regulated, it's kind of wild because a lot more creativity starts to drop in. A lot more intuitive hits and access to your intuition and access to inner knowings will drop in. And your opportunity is going to be to act on those things. And a lot of times you have to lean into courage to do it because it's usually going to be something new. It may not make logical sense. It may not seem like the right thing to do, but there will be a part of you inside that just knows that's the next step to take. And I always think you don't need every step of the way ahead of you. Just follow the flow. Follow that intuitive hit, and you have to use courage to do that. And you take that step, and then the next step will reveal itself. But you do have to stay in decision making. You do have to take consistent action towards your dreams, even if it feels a little scary or vulnerable, or it feels like, oh my gosh, I might fail at this, or it might feel like I might get rejected. You have to learn to emotionally regulate so that those things aren't a problem. If someone says no problem. Okay, I will emotionally regulate because I have learned that skill. You got to move. And I always tell my clients, action creates clarity. You're not going to just wait around and hope for the right answer. Start taking action on things. Act from your future self. If you want to create that result, what would your future self do? Start acting towards that, and that's going to help you create so much clarity. Now, the fourth one is all about receiving and expanding your capacity to receive, and also investing. So let's cover those two things because maybe that's not a fourth. Maybe that's more like a fourth and fifth, but I put them together because I can't leave either of them out. Expanding your capacity to receive. This is you getting comfortable allowing more wealth in. Feeling safer creating money, feeling safer creating more visibility and having more eyeballs on you and feeling safe in that space, shining your light. This is about you feeling safe, having more money, holding more money, multiplying your money, and being someone who is wealthy. It's really stepping into that identity of a wealthy entrepreneur and expanding your capacity to receive. Another way to do this is opening more channels for wealth to flow through. So it's not just your business. That's going to be the start, right? And as money comes into your business, you can use some of that money and start investing it in other places and open more channels for wealth to come through. But the other one is about investing. So that's what I was touching on. So important to invest. Now, I did a podcast episode with Julia Carlson a couple episodes past, who is an 8-figure CEO, has created millions of dollars herself, and has helped a lot of her clients create multiple millions of dollars. And she talked about investing. Like the first thing you want to invest in terms of your business is going to be yourself. That's going to be your most powerful investment because the ROI is so huge. So you want to invest in yourself and you want to invest in your business first. Once that starts really growing, you're going to have overflow that you'll be able to invest in other places, right? Whether that be the market, whether that be real estate, whether that be whatever else it is you want to invest in. So investing is huge, and that is how you are going to open new channels for receiving wealth and making more money. And my friends, this is how you make money with more ease. So I want to give you a recap. Number one is belief work. And really upgrading your identity, upgrading your thoughts. And I cannot recommend getting a coach enough. Come join us in the money manifestation movement. This is the work we do together collectively, and it is so powerful. I will walk you through the journey within the program and as we coach. So powerful. Number 2 is emotional regulation and learning how to stop avoiding your emotions, but instead regulate them so that you can take action, so that you can look at your numbers, so that you can start learning about investing, so that you can release any shame that you're holding around debt or around where you're at in your business or around, the fact that you haven't grown as much as you wanted to. We have to learn to regulate that and release shame, because that's the only way you are going to grow. And from there, it's about taking inspired and aligned action and being consistent with it, right? Like taking that leap of faith, going for it, asking yourself, what is my next step? And taking that action before you feel ready. It's everything. And then number 4 is about receiving and investing, expanding your capacity to receive and investing. And these are the ways that you are going to create wealth with more sustainability, with more ease, with more time on your hands, without killing yourself, without grinding, without being totally exhausted, and without burning yourself out. It is that inner work that makes all the difference. It is the bottom of the iceberg. And once that shifts, it just changes everything. And I've seen it firsthand in my own life as someone who literally went from making like $7,000 a year in my business to creating multiple income streams, being a multimillionaire, having an amazing credit score, doing weekly money dates, actually loving and enjoying money and teaching others about it. It's wild. It is wild. And I have to say, it started with that inner work. That's what shifted things. It wasn't just having the right marketing strategy. It was about shifting on an internal level, and then everything else that's added on to that supports it. So if you have hit a ceiling, or you feel like I have not been able to break past a certain level, or if you have made the money, but you're still in scarcity, you're still worried about it, you're still thinking about it all the time, or maybe you haven't been able to pay off your debt, you keep being an energetic match to more and more debt. If you just keep staying in the same place over and over, it is time to make a shift. It is time to do this inner work, because that, my friend, is what is going to move the needle. So I want to invite you to join us inside of the Money Manifestation Movement and do this work in community. Because when you're in community with others who are holding space for you, who are supporting you, who are on the same mission, who have the same vision, it only amplifies it. It only expedites the process. And as you watch others get coached, you get coached too. You will unconsciously get coached by watching others getting coached. So this work is so powerful, and I would love to support you in the process if you're someone who does want to have a breakthrough. So I am going to invite you in, and I'm going to put all of the info for the Money Manifestation Movement in the show notes. That is my signature coaching program. I have helped hundreds of people inside of there have massive breakthroughs and really learn that making money can be easy, it can be sustainable, it can be fun. You can do it by doing what lights your soul up. In fact, when you do what lights your soul up, you will probably make a lot more money. So come on in and join us, and I would love to support you with this work. Let's make some money.